A two-trailer fuel truck? There's no smoking in this limo. Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Customs in Switzerland. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a 1:64 scale DCM brand Mercedes-Benz 600 Pullman Limousine. This is a super premium model, number 910 out of 999 made. There are a couple of microscopic defects on this, more on that a little bit later, but I love everything about this Pullman. In full size and in 1:64 scale too. I'm going to use this as my entry for the August Four Horsemen build on the theme of Wastelands Warlord. These are the Four Horsemen, and we welcome this month our special guest horseman, Gaslands Norcal. Be sure to visit our YouTube channel to see the upcoming themes. September is a tow truck, and I remind everyone that you're all invited to join in. The Pullman was gifted to me some time ago by David from Diecast Life and Death YouTube channel. Originally, he had been directed my way by recommendation of a mutual friend, and he asked me to do a commission build using this casting as the main component in a Fury Road People Eaters fuel truck. Ultimately, after lots of back and forth emails, he graciously offered to give it to me to keep myself, with the request that it still be made into the movie vehicle. After lots of online research, I found the correct 3D files for the extensive resin printing that was going to be involved, and now with the Four Horsemen August theme of Wastelands Warlord, it's time. David and I are both fully aware that the car in the movie was a Mercedes 300 Series W123, and that this is a 600 Pullman. But since this is the car that is often used by heads of state and other VIPs, it absolutely fits the theme of the month. It's even more luxurious and stately than the W123. The Pullman is actually the forerunner of the modern Maybach marque. It's all class. I've laid out all of the 3D printed parts that I did separately for this project. The first step was to give them a black primer coating and then a silver mist coat. Not saturation, because I want a little bit of the undercoat to show through, and all of this is going to receive extensive weathering. The People Eaters Limousine is actually the 7th vehicle in my own personal series of Fury Road builds. My first one was the War Rig. Here's the thumbnail from that video. I'll leave a link for each of these in the description so you can visit these at your own leisure, and I hope you will. Starting up front, you can see here the chassis that the Pullman is going to sit on. Single axle up front, and there's double axles in the back. The 3D printing is very detailed and accurate to scale on this one. I've given the tires a black treatment. You saw me chroming the rims, but that doesn't look real for a Wastelands rig. So I'm going to begin by doing some weathering with these Tamiya powders. Just some sand color, some desert effect. Compare that with one that hasn't been weathered yet, and you can see how much more realistic this is going to be. There will be more weathering to come. The disassembled Pullman can now be put back together. I never removed the glass. I put the plastic interior back in and the chassis. Notice that all I've done is remove the original wheels. The same screws that came out go back in to hold it all together. The People Eater's limousine, originally dubbed the Gastown Petrol Tanker, is a heavily modified AM General M814 cargo truck with the Mercedes-Benz W123 limousine body on top, as seen in the fourth film Mad Max Fury Road. 2 trucks were used for building this rig, one for close-up shots and the second for stunts and the final explosion scene. The cabin was removed from both trucks, and bodies from Mercedes-Benz W123 limousines were put on top. The limo shells were salvaged from a wedding transportation service that destined them to be crushed. Thankfully, the production company got a hold of those shells and used them for the movie. The vehicles were later prepped by the production company, special effects, and production designers to give them their final look. The front fender wells were enlarged to accommodate massive exhaust pipes running down the whole length of the limousine body. The front grille is made of 3 different bumpers and an extra Daimler Majestic grille. The windows are lattice cut. The steering wheel is decorated with woven strands of hair. The automatic stick is made of a revolver. Squeezing the trigger would engage the gear, and the throttle pedal is decorated with a dollar sign made of coins. The People Eater's limousine was designed by Peter Pound. It functioned as the vehicle of choice of the main businessman of the Wastelands, the People Eater. Holding everyone accountable for their losses and keeping books on everything, the People Eater would not let his signature vehicle be just a standard war rig, but rather a source of profit even on the run. Therefore, his rig refines fuel constantly in motion. It's also a refueling station for all the vehicles in Immortan Joe's armada. The rig itself is protected rather poorly. There's only one gunner with a machine gun mounted on the roof, one driver armed with a pistol, that's the People Eater himself. There are a couple of flamers armed with crossbows on the tankers, but they never engage in action. The People Eater's limousine joins the pursuit of the war rig shortly after being called as reinforcements by the Citadel. The vehicle leads an armada of Gastown vehicles, which include polecat cars and flamers. The vehicle's appointed guide and protector vehicle is the FDK. The People Eater's limousine does not engage in active attacks on the war rig until its way back to the Citadel, where it pulls up next to the war rig and crushes Razor Cola. The damage done by the explosion of Razor Cola causes the 2 tanker refineries to spout fuel until their inevitable explosion in a climactic, spectacular stunt. Its remains were crushed and scrapped. I apply more Tamiya weathering powders on the body of the Pullman for that dusty, desert-driven look. But there's no rust, and there are no skulls on this limo. Moving to the back 1/3 of the rig, I can now do a final assembly on the parts. Here are some handrails that go in. They are finely printed, and they fit perfectly in these small recessed holes. In the middle goes what looks like a couple of flag poles with flags on them, but these are arms that would be used for lifting drums and containers on and off the rig. I painted the drums on top in some off rust color to contrast with the silver finish on the rest. And now I can glue that down into the recess. It all locks together as part of the 3D file. Super glue connects resin to resin perfectly. Looks like that. The Gigahorse was one of the most popular uploads on my channel. Again, check for the link in the description. If you're a serious Fury Road fan and an acute viewer of the film, you'll know why I'm blacking out the limo windows like this. It's a preparatory step for what I need to do next. I'm going to apply some decals there. I've got colored ones, and these are the hard-to-see ghost white decals. In the movie, the People Eater's limousine has lattice-cut windows. And let's face it, it would be absolutely impossible to etch those out by hand on this ridiculously small scale, so the next most expeditious way to do it was to apply some lattice decals, white on black. And I got the same effect, which I'm very happy with. That was an important detail that could not have been overlooked. The focus in the center of the rig is this longest section with dual elongated fuel tanks and 3 caps on top. And even though these stickers are not part of the movie vehicle, I wanted to identify my build number and some hazmat signs just for a splash of color to offset the silver and the weathering. Nearly finished. One final and important add-on is the roof-mounted machine gun, easily affixed with a spot of superglue. The Ford Falcon XB Interceptor was the last Fury Road vehicle I did prior to this one. I hope you'll go by and check that out too, if this is your thing. Even though I've already applied extensive weathering with the Tamiya powders, I felt that overall all 3 pieces were still too clean for roaming the wasteland roads full time as they do. So I wanted more weathering, especially on the bottom of these 3 pieces, and I accomplished that with some Tamiya acrylic paint, which is called light brown. I set my airbrush on about 14 psi, so I get a very, very light spray. Again, not saturation, just a dusting effect, and I think it gives a very good approximation of what these should look like and how they appeared in the movie. Now you can write your name in the dust with your finger, but it's all going to end up like this anyway. Let's have a closer look now that it's all finished. The pieces come apart, they're properly printed to hook together. There's the Pullman limo, one size bigger than the 300 Series W123. Massive exhaust pipes down both sides, roof-mounted machine gun. You see the original taillights and license plates on there. Nicely detailed 3D printing. I especially like the custom bumper that goes up front on that one. It came out beautifully well. The center tanks are nicely balanced on 3 pairs of dualies. Painted and weathered, as is the rest of the model. Again, not accurate to the movie hazmat stickers, but a personal touch, and a caution sign across the rear gate finishes that off. I don't want them looking brand new, but pretty well run across the Wastelands. Here's the caboose. More dusting in the spots that would pick it up most prominently. All of these are rollers, by the way. I wouldn't call it a racing rig, but all three together rumble across my scorched earth diorama just fine. Thanks again to David from Diecast Life and Death for gifting me with this premium casting to be converted into the People Eater's Limousine, as I did my best to do. It was an extra large project in more ways than one, especially with the extensive 3D printing, but I think it all works together well, and I hope you'll agree it suits the theme of this month's Four Horsemen Invitational, Wastelands Warlord. I sure enjoyed doing it, and I hope you had great fun watching my project come to life piece by piece. Here's my whole armada from the Fury Road film as it is to this point. The Elvis, the Mack tow truck, the War Rig, the Gigahorse is in there, and the Doofwagon, and Max's Interceptor, now together with the People Eater's Limousine front and center. Please leave your respectful comments below and let me know what your thoughts are on this special build. Our thanks again to Gaslands NorCal for being our guest host. If you have participated, please remember to submit a glamour pic to that email address, and don't forget to use hashtag 4HorsemenDiecast in your upload. Thanks so much for visiting my channel today. I hope you'll come back soon and often. It's coffee time.